When did you first realise you had a mental illness and how did that come about?
On the 21st September 1997, I was diagnosed with mental illness. That happened because I had a breakdown, accident to being scared of my brother and my mother. But to be honest, I must say that I had moments in my childhood where I went to see private counsellors after school, during high school, or went and saw school counsellors quite a bit just to talk about things. And I mean, that would suggest that I probably knew I was mentally ill in some form long before I turned 21.
Do you agree with your current diagnosis?
I was diagnosed with type 1 bipolar disorder, and I don't have a problem with that. I mean, there's been times when it was suggested that I had schizoaffective disorder, but I don't really have, I wouldn't qualify as having that. It was also suggested at one point that I had savant syndrome, which is a type of autism, but I mean, I haven't been tested for that, so I couldn't really say.
Is there any other condition that makes life difficult for you?
Because of the medication that I take, or I've been asked to take by doctors, I put on quite a lot of weight and developed a problem with my blood pressure. So I take a blood pressure medication now. But yeah, apart from the weight and the blood pressure, I don't really know that I have that many problems.
What is the hardest thing about having a mental illness?
I'd say the hardest thing about having a mental illness is the stigma. It's just difficult when you can't talk about your situation. If, for example, if you have a job or in certain social situations, because people are judgmental. Yeah, and it's just difficult dealing with, the way people see you, and so sometimes it's better to keep a secret.
How has your illness affected relationships with family and friends?
I could say that my illness has affected my relationship with family and friends, but also that relationships with family and friends have affected my state of being. That's because my parents split up before my first memory. My mother went out a whole lot too much during my childhood, and my brother beat me regularly and routinely. The nightmares that I've had for 36 years are accident to being beaten. And I think that on the flip side, that the illness has given license to members of my family just being, the worst type of people, who don't want to understand or want to try and turn it to their benefit, and of course, as far as friendships go, most of the friends I have had since I was diagnosed. The friends I had prior to my diagnosis, I don't really see anymore. And of course, that's upsetting, but I guess in a way I got better friends now.
What has really helped you?
What's really helped me is the support network that I've developed. Honest, open, considerate people who know when I'm a bit down or when I need help, and will put their hand up and say you need this, or you might need a bit of help, or apart from that, I've got a case manager who will come out on a Saturday or a Sunday if she's working. And I mean, she came out this afternoon, and the case manager before that actually came out on my birthday, which was a Sunday, and just sat and had a cup of tea and had a chat, and it was good. So it comes down to support networks.
Okay.
In your opinion, what causes a mental illness?
A mental illness is it's a tricky beast. It's dependent on nature versus nurture, where part of the problem is based on genetics, but part of the problem is also based on life experience. I can't tell you the number of people I've met in the last 20 years who have had similar or worse experiences than I have, who have been victims in their own home, have been basically hostages in their own home. And the number of times it's happened, I mean, you can't say that it's all just genetic, but at the same time, you've got to say that it is in part because a person would have to be mentally ill to do some of the inconsiderate things that I've been a victim to or that I've seen.
Do you think your childhood or late life experiences were a factor?
Yeah, I certainly would say that. My childhood is marked with scores of incidents, whether they be at school or at home, where I was bullied, verbally abused, or physically violated in some way. And I have to say that is a factor.
How has your illness been treated and how effective have the treatments been?
For the most part, I'd say that psychiatrists have done what they always do, which is focus on medication, like it is the be all and end all. I haven't really seen that many psychologists, or nearly any at some point. But I've had some good case managers, and I've had some good consumer advocates, and it's been helpful. But at the same time, if I had a counsellor who could deal with the fact that I'm the primary victim of domestic violence, then I could get on with life.
What has your experience been of the people who have been involved in treating you?
Psychiatrists don't ask the right questions, and they don't ask enough of them. I mean, my whole assessment could have been completely different based on a few truths. Nurses and case managers, they sort of get involved and they sort of ask the right questions, but they don't know how to deal with it, and so they usually hand it over again to the doctors or to the hospital at large. And at that point, you don't get counsellors involved, and OTs don't ask the right questions, and I think that it could have been handled a lot better.
What do you wish you had known then that you know now?
In the last 20 years, I've met a number of people who have had the same illness that I have, but have dealt with it in a much better way. I really wish that I'd been able to follow them before I'd started, take that knowledge back in some way and have a full-time job and a private rental or a home, and have a wife and kids maybe, or I don't know, but yeah, certainly if I could take the knowledge that I've found from people I've met who have succeeded where I failed, that I'd take that back.
Do you have any final words about mental illness?
I'd say that people are people, not illnesses, wallets, or lifestyles. I think that people need to treat each other better than in a way that they did maybe 60 or 70 years ago. I think that isolation is a problem, but now we just don't interact with other people. We sit at home on computers and we keep our distance and we hide behind phones because we just don't deal with people, and because there is a great disconnect, we just lose that connection with humanity, I suppose. So I'd probably say that, as far as mental illness goes, whether it be on a social, work, personal level or a global level, including people who go to war, who come back with PTSD. I'd say we need to reconnect with people, not with devices, and treat each other better.